Hello everyone, this is OPS, Olympic Peninsula Spotlight. I'm your host Rick Nichols.
And I'm Matthew Warnick.
We'll be bringing you entertainment from the local area musicians, information concerning local businesses, and we'll also help to keep your calendar up to date with schedules for up-and-coming events. Our program is coming at you from Circle of Sound in Olympia, Washington. This full-service recording studio also offers in-house mastering, CD and DVD duplication, digital transfers, and audio restoration. Circle of Sound, reasonable rates and local convenience.
Today we're going to have David Norman in the studio. We're going to play 3 of his great songs and have a very riveting interview.
Yeah. That's it right there. Baby, I got a one-track mind for you. In a bad way, and that's the good news. Lady, I should be used to the color blue. With a mad face, like I'm nobody's fool. You're a fool, such a fool. This is nobody. I want you to know that you're just my type. I'm so comfortable here. You're the perfect fit. Wishing somebody would just let you go. Ain't no need for broken hearts or frustration. I can be patient. Someone somewhere's thinking of you this rainy Friday. Can't seem to get you out of my runaway mind. Someone somewhere's thinking of you this rainy Friday. And dreaming of being with you, killing time. Do I ever from more than petty conversation? Either on purpose or by random circumstance. No, I never wanna make any complications. I'll make it worth it if I'm given half a chance. Just give me half a chance. I feel so crazy, screws are getting loose. Lately not quite right, just a little out of tune. Starting to lose my cool. This is nobody. Getting over you is impossible to do. I'm happy to be your boo. Someone somewhere's thinking of you this rainy Friday. Can't seem to get you out of my runaway mind. Someone somewhere's thinking of you this rainy Friday. And dreaming of being with you, killing time. Let's go. Let it rain. Let it rain. Someone somewhere's thinking of you. Someone somewhere's thinking of you this rainy night. So I say, let it rain. Someone somewhere's thinking of you. Someone somewhere's thinking of you this rainy night. So I said it rain, let it rain, let it rain.
It may not be Friday, but that song applies to today. Now we're going to play a song called Mister.
looking 'cause you won't. So many fellas ask the question, you wanna know if she likes you. Let me give you a suggestion, a hint, a little clue. You've been talking on the phone, a bit of flirting here and there, silly thoughts you have alone. You playfully compare, you exchange a couple secrets, little faults that you lay bare. You smile and she smiles back and runs her fingers through her hair, and she says, hey there, mister. She called you mister. What's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? When she says mister. To believe that situations such as this could lead to more than just a kiss. You don't believe me, then I guess you should put it to the test. See that girl that's in the dress? No, the one that's on the left. She's been giving you the eye. You should go and say hello. My buddy looked at me like fine, just to say I told you so. He walked over to the girl, had a conversation with her, came back over with a smile and said, she called me mister. She called me mister. Yeah, what's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? When she says mister. You ain't gotta call me tonight, dear. You ain't gotta call me tomorrow either. But baby girl, when you do, oh, just call me mister. Oh, call me mister. Yeah, what's in a name? What's in a name? What's in a name? When she says mister.
How are you doing, David?
Doing great, doing great.
Thank you for coming down. Is there any family members you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, I'd like to say hello to my two little daughters, Ebony and Bianca. Love them so much. My little inspirations and my music editors. I usually run my music by them before it usually hears anybody else's ears. So yeah, I'll say hello to them real quick.
Your wife's not going to have her feelings hurt, is she?
What's that?
Your wife's not going to have her
Maybe just a little bit. No, of course, I love my lovely wife, also the inspiration of many of my songs that I write. Robbie, she's another lady I'd like to say hello to.
All right.
Good. So, since you're a singer, tell everybody when you started singing, at what age and...
You know, like everybody else, you started off singing just along with the radio, but I remember the first time that I really thought about singing being something that I can maybe try to do something with musically was back in high school. I used to kind of play music for lunchtime. I like to kind of DJ and I love music always, just like everybody else. So I would play music at lunchtime and everybody thought that was really great. And one day at lunchtime, somebody said, "Hey, David, sing a song." So I had a microphone. I got on the microphone and I sang a Boyz II Men song. And everybody thought that was pretty great. So I was like, oh, okay, that was fun. So after that point, I kind of segued into thinking, oh, let me try that some more.
Probably got you a few numbers too, huh?
It didn't hurt.
And so that sounds good. What drove you to become a musician? I mean, that's obviously like the feedback helped, but beyond that, was there anything else?
You know, I think I was, at a certain age, I was always kind of looking for an opening or an opportunity, but not really knowing how or where to go for that. Knowing zero about making music, the music industry, or writing songs, I'll never forget. I came across another friend at school. Again, it was in school, and he happened to be making beats and for his music. And one day he was like, "Hey Dave, I know you're into music and I know you do things, so why don't you come by my house, the studio, and we'll see if we can make a song." And that was the greatest, probably the most pivotal time of when I started making music and when I realized, okay, this is not too difficult.
Was it one of those closet studios with a mattress up in
Exactly, yeah. And it wasn't even that. It was like in his mom, and he lived with his mom, of course. So it was like a room and a 2-track recorder, and so it was very, very modest, very, very meager.
Cool. Those are usually the funnest too.
It was a blast. Yeah, I had a great time.
Was there a specific musician that's very influential to you?
There's been a few. As a kid, I grew up listening to the Beatles. My dad has always been a Beatles fan. So, and I am too, a huge Beatles fan. And then listening to different artists, Bill Withers also was, I would say, is probably the #1 influence ever as far as my music goes. Stevie Wonder, artists like Al Green, so on and so forth. Any of those artists, I love when I can try to inject some of what they gave to me as a kid into my music.
And what type of music or what type of projects do you like doing the most?
I like doing anything where I feel like it's making me stretch a little bit out of my comfort zone. I like to surprise people. Usually my favorite projects to do are the ones that I haven't done yet, the ones that are coming. The ones that where it's a new song and it's exciting and I haven't played it or sang it a million times. And those are the ones that I'm always
brewing in your head.
Exactly, the ones brewing where I'm not sure where they're at yet. So I'm always excited to do those.
Right on.
Going back to the Beatles, do you like the USSR or the Norwegian wood style best? Which do you prefer?
Probably that's a tough call. It depends on my mood. I would say each one has its place in my heart for when I'd like to hear it. But you could pretty much play any Beatles song and I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied.
Okay, and so then when they broke up, and every one of them came out with their own solo projects, which one did you gravitate toward the most?
It's pretty tough to complain about Paul McCartney. I really enjoyed a lot of the music he did and the things that he did with the Beatles when they were together. John Lennon, of course, was an amazing musician too. So, again, it's hard to nail that down. Sometimes you end up with something, when something changes, you end up with something that could be better in its own way, but at the same time, not the same. So it's that double-edged sword, but it's still exciting because it's new. So that's a tough call. Each one has its place at different days. So I could be listening to John Lennon when I'm like feeling kind of mellow. If I want to hear just the Beatles band because I feel like kind of rocking out a little bit, then those will be on rotation. But every day, my feeling, the feelings that I have or the mood I'm in will definitely be either determined by that or affected by that.
Yeah, so that your song choices are reflected in your mood. Hey, I was reading somewhere that, is it Al Green that became a minister?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Is he still making music too, or?
I don't know. I haven't followed him as far as his current, any music currently, but I'll throw on an Al Green album any day of the week and be extremely satisfied. That's one of those songs where I can pretty much play that any time of the day.
Well, I've always told David that he's my baby face for the studio, when he comes through or whatever, because you have such a good mellow and such a good range in your vocals that I've always kind of thought that maybe he would have been one of the persons that you were listening to.
I absolutely listen to Babyface, and he is a great example of somebody whose range in the music as a whole, both instrumentally, vocally, songwriting, collaborations, and then the song after it's finished. If I can get an ounce of that talent and that ability and be in any way compared to him, I will happily take that and run with it.
All right. Yeah, he is a master.
Yes.
And has done a lot with a lot of different people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I really like your song, We Don't Need No Holiday. Of your own songs, which one do you like the most?
You know, again, it's usually the ones that I haven't recorded yet. The ones that I've already done, let's see. I usually enjoy the one that I recorded the most recently the most. So We Don't Need No Holiday is probably the one that I would go back and listen to myself. Cool. But Rainy Friday, when I finished it, I was super excited about it. So I was like, I love this song. Hopefully everybody else does too who listens to it. And, you know, same with Mister. And, you know, I felt like with each of those songs, I definitely wanted to make sure that I gave that person who listened to it a mood and a moment and a vibe to where they came with me a little bit, or maybe it took them somewhere that they needed to be anyways. So that's hopefully what I try to do with my music is if I can take them on a little bit of a journey to where they might have a place that they're trying to go, and it helps them get there, then that's awesome to me.
So was Rainy Friday written on a Sunday, Monday, or what?
The inspiration was 100% on a rainy, nasty, stormy day, and I think it was in like February or something like that, and it was just an ugly, nasty day, and I was just like, you know what? I'm from Washington. We have to celebrate this. We love rain a little bit, you know, so that was absolutely inspired by sitting at work, actually. I was watching the rain come down, and it was a Friday. I was ready to go home and be done with the day. And I thought, you know, I'm going to write a song about a rainy Friday one of these days. That's going to be somewhere in my song. And next thing you know.
You did it.
And we have to appreciate it. As nasty as the weather might be, we have to appreciate it because that's why we have the landscape that we do.
Yeah.
The beautiful trees.
Exactly.
And you hear everybody, like, justify it that way, like, oh, it sucks outside. Well, at least we have beautiful trees.
Exactly.
See, but that's part of the beauty of being a musician. You're never outside anyway. You're getting a studio tan, so let it rain.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think as Washingtonians, we appreciate that the rain gives you something. It gives you that little bit of, it makes you stay home. It makes you stay with your family. It makes you want to be cozy. It makes you want to hang out with close people that you love. And that's what the rain does for you. So it has its place, and it gives us this beautiful state that we live in, this beautiful green rainforest with plenty of plants and animals and all those things. So I love Olympia, and I love Washington. We get tired of the rain sometimes. It's a lot of rain, but you know, again, we miss it when we don't have it.
So you think it contributes to the national average for family size, or what?
It could. It could, but I also attribute some of that to Al Green too.
Yes.
Not much else you can do on a rainy day, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point, because on a rainy day, there's nothing better to do than sit back and play a guitar or write music or anything. So.
That's true. Yes.
Earlier, you played a song for us here to kind of get the idea, or to help you get a groove for it, and you got a really good voice. So I feel like this is like a good question or a good topic. And it's do you feel like singing is a lost art in the mainstream industry?
You know,
good singing, I mean, like good vocals.
Yeah, I think that for a minute there, to some degree, singing got overdone. You know, there's maybe too many runs, too much pushing it to where there's a fine line between something that's beautiful and something because it's beautiful and complicated, and something that's beautiful because it's simple. And I think for a minute there, we kind of got away from the things that were complicated for something simpler, which led us to auto-tune and led us to just not necessarily focusing so much on vocals. Is that a bad thing? I think that it has its place. You know, everybody likes to have a song that they can just listen to and just enjoy for the fact that it makes you want to dance.
Yeah.
And I think that that's okay. You know, it's okay to have, you know, if a guy wants to be musically inclined and maybe he feels like his voice isn't that great, and people are willing to listen to him be auto-tuned because he's still really good at what he does, that's wonderful. You know, that's the nice thing about the off switch of a radio. you can always turn it off.
Yeah.
You know, you can always change it. Do I think I think singing in a lot of ways is evolutionary. And what's a way to describe it? It's circular too, because you'll kind of come around to different places. So you'll have times when singing great amazing singers are looked at very highly, and that's what's popular. And then there's times when people are just wanting to rock, and so the voices that are like the best voices don't necessarily have to be the top voices, but the songs just have to be really great, and they have to be well written, you know, and that's a beautiful thing too. And then there's times when it's not about any of that stuff. It's just about having fun. Yep. You know, there's just a summer song, and it doesn't mean anything. It's not important. It's not life-altering. It just makes you want to get up and dance. And that has its place, too, I think. You know, I think that many artists, again, some of the Beatles songs, I don't think were necessarily the best vocally, but you loved them
Right.
anyways.
Yeah.
So I think that everything has its place. And again, the beautiful thing about music and radio is you don't have to listen to any of it if you don't want to.
It is a beautiful thing. Can you imagine where Bob Dylan would have been if he'd only had auto-tune?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I think sometimes auto-tune can obviously be overdone, and that's evident. It can be overdone. I think that focus definitely needs to be first on the integrity of the music. If you can, cutting corners to me is not doing yourself justice. I think that you could sell yourself short by cutting corners sometimes.
And that's like kind of the big gripe about it, at least currently, is that the auto-tuning is kind of just cutting a big corner. Like I remember, like, let's say mid-90s, auto-tuning, you'd hear it in songs as like a cool effect. And
Right.
like you said, it sounded cool and made the song, and enhanced the song. The person could sing, and one of their lines would have a neat little effect to it. But nowadays, it just feels like everyone's just cutting a corner so they can get a song released.
Yeah, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
and I think that at the same time, people decide what's good and what's not. So your listeners
Yeah,
will decide.
definitely.
And that's what I love about music is talent will shine, and non-talent will not.
You know, Cher was the first one to really use auto-tune, and it was in that robotic mode where you just put it on and crank it up as high as you can get, so it gives you that all the pitch correction. Auto-tune does have a place, though, in modern recording from the standpoint we are living in a digital age, and so you know you can't really just take it all away. Analog, you had to commit to something, and then it was a done deal. But with digital, when you're sitting around and listening to something long after the instruments are packed away, the microphones are put away, and you're in a mixing stage, and all of a sudden you hear this note that's a clinker that you really didn't notice before. It's nice to be able to go into an auto-tune and adjust that to the proper note that it needs to be. And we use auto-tune here in that fashion. We don't just crank it on and hopefully, you know, let it correct every wrong pitch. Because not everybody's Andre Bocelli, you know, but at the same time, there is a place for that if it's not an overuse. But it's like anything else, right? Moderation.
Absolutely. Moderation. There you go. Exactly.
Right. And that kind of, what you just mentioned, you know, that's the stuff that people don't know about. You know what I mean? People don't know that or hear that. What you hear today is just like this blatant use of it.
Yeah, well, the auto-tune, just the name itself implies that it does it automatically. Of course, you know, David, and I'm sure you'll agree, there's a lot of people that think once they listen to your song that, you know, well, that was good for a half hour's worth of effort. Right?
Yes, yeah. You recorded it, and then the next thing you know, you posted it for someone to listen to a half hour later, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the old Magic Genie organ. You hold down one note, and all the rhythm and all the accompaniment plays along with it. It's really not that way. When you look at David's material and material from other artists that have been through here, it's a labor of love that goes into that, and those notes are played, those vocals are sung. It's time consuming.
Yeah, you know, I've had conversations with some of the other folks that are in my life that are into music and recording and whatnot, and we have those conversations. Like, if people only knew the amount of hours that went into 3.5 minute song, you know, if you could say for every minute I put this much time into this song before it got to that end song. It's pretty astounding how much time goes into any song that is written and recorded. I think especially when it's done with real instruments.
Yeah, and it's one guy doing all the instrumentation, all
Right.
the vocals, all the songwriting.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not like you just record it and it's done. You have to go in and redo takes, and you have to, there's things that are done many, many times over, especially as you're doing each piece. And then you have to fine tune it and do the production side and the engineering and all that stuff. All those things are things that take time and they take effort and they take someone doing them. And it's great that a 3.5 minute song, somebody gets to enjoy that for 3.5 minutes, but it is, from the musician's point of view, it is very much a labor of love because there's so much time and energy and literally love that goes into each of those pieces because it's very tedious and very time consuming.
Writing a song, just that phrase itself, I wrote a song. What does that mean to you?
The first song that I wrote before I had any music to go with it, and it was just a beat and a rhythm in my head that I wrote. So I feel like I started as a songwriter first, and that is probably the biggest part of the music that I enjoy doing is just writing the song, because depending on the person, it can come from so many different places. So, and I think that, again, that's one of the pieces of music that will shine the most is a great, well-written song. And you walk that line between it being complicated and, I don't know if complicated is the right word. You walk the line of trying too hard and it being too simple. You want to find that middle ground where people want to consume it and they want to take it in and they want to think about it and they want to figure it out. And so those are the parts that I really enjoy. When I write my music, I feel like I think of myself as being somewhat of more of a storyteller of my own life. And in the way that I feel like when I am writing a song and the message that I want to convey is typically something's happening, I'm feeling a certain way about something's happening, and then I get to the point of where I am at after this something that's happened. Many of my songs tend to be that way, tend to be somewhat of a story of something that I was feeling at that time. So I think songwriters, they all have their different things that they write about and their different ways of doing things. And again, that's the beautiful thing about music, is there's so many different ways to skin a cat, and for the listeners to enjoy that, each different thing.
For our listening audience, no animals were harmed.
No cats were
Recording
literally
this interview.
skinned.
No, I think what I was alluding to a little bit was, what constitutes a song to you? Does it have a melody? Or is it a spoken word put to music?
For me, I think that, wow, that is a tough question, because so many poems have become songs. My personal songwriting style is always about the music. So whether I'm playing it first and then writing the song with that, or whether I just hear the music in my head, it's there. It's always there. There's always some kind of a melody. There's always the beat will start happening, and it kind of unravels in my brain before I've ever touched an instrument a lot of times. Or it'll start off with a rhythm, and then I'll go from there. That rhythm will inspire something. So what constitutes a song? I would say the combination of both. I think you definitely have to have something that's musical about it. That's a tough thing to define. It's like saying, how do you describe a color? I would say spoken word is probably not so much, in my opinion, along the lines of music. But there's plenty of music that doesn't have instruments or doesn't have any kind of music whatsoever. It's a cappella, and it's just straight vocals. So music is so difficult to define. Wow. And I guess I've never thought about it that way, that it's tough to box it up. But I definitely think there has to be something rhythmic, something melodic, something musical.
Something musical.
Yeah,
there you
something
go.
musical.
So if you write lyrics, did you write a song or did you just write lyrics?
I think in my head when I write songs, it is literally lyrics for a song. But I think sometimes different people with their styles, maybe they start off with just lyrics. And they don't even realize it's a song until they're like, oh, okay, hey, that could be a song. And maybe they hear some music, and then and then that comes together, and they're like, oh, wow, that works perfectly. So I think, but for me personally, it's always a song. It never starts off as a poem. It never starts off as a spoken word. Everything that I've written musically has always been with the purpose of it being a song eventually.
A finished product being a song.
A whole song.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
That's a passion of Rick's, at least recently. A lot of younger musicians are only attuned to lyric writing with the idea of beat making and the rise of people who just make beats all day. There's definitely a lot of people who only write lyrics. A lot of people can't even sing who just write lyrics. And then they say that they've written a song because they mean to go out and find somebody, or even just buy a beat off the computer, off the internet somehow.
Yeah, and the only reason why I'm always curious about it because I've always thought that a song had melody, it had structure to it, and lyrics. If you had written something like that, then those lyrics were put in, and then that became part of the song, the same way a bass is part of the song if you incorporate the bass. If you look back the way credits used to be, it was music by and lyrics by.
Mm-hmm. A big part of what you mean is they have nowhere in their mind are they thinking about the instrumentation because somebody else pretty much is going to do that for them.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons, David, I was just curious because you obviously, you write melody. You put in the bass parts and your drum parts and all those parts, as well as writing the lyrics that then you sing, which is another part of that song.
Right.
And those are all parts, which makes a finished product, which we refer to as a song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think now I understand where we're headed. So, and maybe I'll just go directly to where we're going. Hip hop, rap. Is it music? I think that anything where, and maybe this is probably ultimately my definition of what music is. If the listener is hearing it, and in some way they want to dance along with it, whether it's their snapping their fingers, tapping their toe, shaking, or just get up and doing however they want to dance, to me, that is, for that person, is music. Again, from my own personal experience, I actually started off, as far as when I recorded music, actually doing rap. And a lot of the things that you were describing, where I wrote lyrics and then downloaded a beat and then rapped over that, and that's what I did. Over time, I felt, for me personally, that I wasn't respecting the instrumentation of the music. And also, I just wanted to learn more about the instrumentation. For me, and what that led to me doing was deciding on playing an instrument and deciding that I wanted to make a song from start to finish. I didn't want to make a beat or take a beat from somebody else that they had a direction for, or they may have had a feeling for, and put their love into it. I wanted to birth something from nothing to inspiration to, at the end of the road, a song that was mine. That was my song from start to finish. Every song, I think you get influences, you get advice. Again, we talked about the song that I just played for you, one of the new songs that I wrote, and I'll show it to somebody for the sole purpose of asking, hey, what do you think of this? What would you do if it was you? And I may or may not use that advice, but you take it in. As far as the lack of instrumentation for some of the artists, of course that's their choice. For me personally, I chose to just go more instruments, and I feel like that's given me a greater appreciation and for music as a whole, and respect for it, respect for every musician who's great at what they do. Learning how to do the bass parts of a song, learning and how that works with the rest of it, learning how to do the melody, learning how to do the drums, some of which I'm horrible at. I'm really horrible at it, so all I can do is ask for advice and tell people to tell me when it's going the wrong direction, and what they think I should do to fix it. but I feel like at the same time, the beauty of that is when I make a song, it is a snapshot of life. It is a story of my life. It is a story of some concept that I had, and the process of making that song is similar to how we live, where sometimes we just got to get advice. Man, what do you think I should do? I don't know what's, me and my wife aren't getting along. What do you think I should do? This is what's happening. Or, I feel like I need to do better at my finances. Whatever you're working on, there's times when you get advice for stuff, and there's times when you do stuff. But ultimately, I think what it comes down to is, just like in life, you have to eventually stand on your own 2 feet and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is what I need to do. And I feel like for me, musically, that's what I needed to do, was stand on my own 2 feet, start to finish, and gain a better appreciation for the art of making music. Not the art of writing a song, not the art of taking somebody else's beat. And not that that's a bad thing, but that was just me. That was the decision I made.
There's a lot of good music out there that the artists are using behind the lyrics that they're writing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I look at it as a distinction, because for me to write a song is about the finished product,
right.
The song, okay, the music and the words, if there are words, and if there aren't words, is it still music?
Right.
Or is it still a song? Well, of course it is. But if you're going to have lyrics and a song, then it's a contributing portion of that. I was laughing earlier, David, when you were talking about dancing, the music needs to make you swing.
Yeah.
I'd like to see you listening to the national anthem.
You know what? And that might not be a swing. It'll be more of a sway. How about that? It'll be more of a sway.
Like a funeral dirge, right?
Yeah. So I think I understand what you're getting at with the lyrics. I think that again, I think that there has to be a respect for the music. There has to be nowadays what I've seen, and even from when I started, I didn't appreciate it. Is that it's easy to say, hey, so I'm getting this beat, and I'm going to make a song because I have lyrics and I want people to hear what I have to say. And then you turn around and you take that person who's made this beat and put their blood, sweat, and tears into making this beat and created something that is great for you. It's a great platform, and that's what it is. It's a platform, because without this beat, you would have nothing. They created this platform, and then you want to disrespect their work by either not paying them at all or doing nothing to show that you appreciated that other than downloading it and using it, and sometimes massacring it, depending on what you do with your music.
Well, you called it a platform, and typically you stand on a platform.
Absolutely.
So basically, it's something that helps to give you a leg up, right?
Right.
It helps to enhance what you're doing. So it is a contributing portion.
It's the most it is the major contributing portion. Again, if you didn't have that, then it would just be you talking, and that's conversation. That's not a song.
And that's basically, thank you. That's what I've always concluded too.
Yeah. So I think that the respect for that is something that needs to be understood, and that's part of what I hope to gain by playing more instruments myself personally, is to appreciate more what effort went into that beat that somebody else created, and also to just gain that love of each piece, the bass, the melody, whatever instrument is playing the melody, and then for every instrument that you kind of hear and listen to and maybe want to incorporate into your music, you understand that, man, there's just a huge expanse of instruments, and for every instrument, there is many people who can do amazing things with it.
Yeah.
And you have got to respect that.
But that's what makes you unique, David, is the fact that you did come from a hip-hop background, and you wanted to delve deeper into the instrumentation and how all of the music portion of it works, and you've done just that, so kudos.
Again, so many of my influences come from the Motown and the Beatles era and all those kinds of songs. But ultimately, even with my hip-hop, when I was doing that, there was a nagging, in the back of my head, there was always a nagging feeling. And I remember the question that I was always asked, oh, okay, so did you make the beat? What did you do, all these things? And I'm like, no, I downloaded the beat and I wrote the lyrics and I recorded it. And I just felt like that I was lacking. I was missing the point for me, personally. It doesn't mean everybody else has to feel that way, but I was missing the point by not respecting the amount of effort and talent that went into this platform that I was standing on. And in some cases, not not paying for, not giving the appreciation that I should have. So in the way, to me, for my music, what I eventually decided to do was go backwards. Let me go back to Bill Withers. Let me go back to Al Green. Let me go back to the Beatles, and let me go back to why I love music, and make that. And when I was doing hip hop, loved it. I enjoyed it, and a lot of people liked what I was doing, which was great, you know, and that's why you do music, so that people enjoy it and they get something out of it. The other side of it was that I wanted to make sure that I wasn't restricting myself lyrically, and I wasn't feeling like I had to write lyrics a certain way because of a certain type of music that I was making. So as I progressed in my hip hop and recording and all those things, you would start to see more injections of singing, more injections of stuff that's more soulful, more injections of my own personal, what I say is music for me. And then eventually, again, it was time to create my own beat, make my own platform.
Well, I think that going back has certainly and will continue to serve you well, David.
Well, thank you. Hope so.
Yeah. To be a little fair, not that we're like beating up on hip hop or anything, I do remember like the original hip hop artists and rap artists used to actually be like a crew, and you'd have the MC and the DJ and even a few other like real instrument players would all actually work together to make a good song. And the current trend is the advent of the hip hop artist, one guy who writes a song, and then the beat producer, some other guy who makes the beat. That I feel like it's a little more current. It didn't used to be that way.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of hip hop artists, once they get to a point where they can afford to do it, you'll see them start fronting bands, and they'll have instruments behind them. And they start to gain a little bit more of that desire to have that, as opposed to just strictly the beat rolling behind them. They want to have the band, they want to have the drummer, they want to have the bass player, they want to have the guitar player actually doing that. And I think sometimes it's just youth.
Are there any mainstream performers or radio performers that you actually enjoy a lot now that you think are really talented?
Oh man,
someone like
so
you might hear
many
on the radio today.
Yeah, so many. Let me think. I listen to a lot of John Mayer. There's a new artist. His name is beautiful voice. He's real soulful. Such an instrumentation focus on his music, which is so much of what I love. I'm listening right now to a young kid. His name is Miguel. Great songs, real soulful. I've listened to Neo a lot. He's another artist. Of course, when Usher was making a lot of music, I loved his music. And then I'll jump into all kinds of rock type music. So I love Mute Math, Black Keys, all the way to again, you jump into the hip hop side. I love some of the music that Drake has made. I love some of the music that of course Eminem and artists like him have made. All those things, they move me for different reasons. So yeah, those are the artists that I probably follow right now.
With all the controversy in music, we always kind of forget the actual people who are talented.
Yeah.
They don't get as much exposure because controversy drives fame more than talent.
Absolutely.
It seems that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how would you compare vocal talents to playing instruments? I know you talked about a little bit, but let's hear your take on.
I think that they're one and the same in some ways. I think that vocal, many times when people think of a song, it doesn't necessarily have to have vocals to be a song. And we know now, not that we know now, but a cappella doesn't necessarily have to have instruments to make a song. The instrument could be just the voice. I think that they shake each other's hands so much that the vocals can shine and do what they do, and then they can cut out completely, and the instruments can shine and do what they do. And as long as they are both beautiful, that listener can decide for themselves which of those things is wonderful. And as somebody who likes to just make music, my goal is for you to enjoy each one as much as the other, and say, wow, I really enjoyed that part, and that for this reason. And I like that part because it's different than the part before it for a different reason. So I think vocals and instruments are vocals are an instrument, so it's kind of hard to take one away from the other.
Yeah. My fiance is trained, and I can hear the similarities between people who are instrumentally trained and people who are vocally trained. They say all the same stuff. They know all the same stuff about music, the rules of music, music theory. You learn the same thing. Timing, like 2/2s and 6/6s and
6/8.
6/8. See, I'm not trained. I don't know, but they
Sit up.
have to learn.
Shake.
Yeah, I'll get it eventually. What would be your ultimate goal as a musician? If like money, I know money tends to be like the obstacle for people. If that wasn't an option or an obstacle for you, like what would you ultimately want to achieve?
I just posted something on Facebook that I heard. Where did I hear it from? It was something that I heard on. I don't even remember where I heard it actually, but basically the comment was, "What would you do if you couldn't get paid to do what you loved?" And of course, you do it anyway, right? So
That's right.
if you love something, money never mattered in the first place. You were already doing it before you were getting paid to do it. I think that's what it comes down to, is whatever you love to do. If you love to paint, if you love to trim dogs, if you love to ride horses, if you love cars, I think if it's something that you love, you will just do it because you love to do it. And when you give it to somebody else and they appreciate the love that you put into it and they get something from that, that is the bonus. That is where you're just like, when you had mentioned, hey, I really liked this song that you made. I thought that was good. That's the bonus that I get. Man, I created something and somebody else took something away from that and it did something for them. It doesn't have to be even necessarily a profound thing. It could have been that they just liked listening to it and that made their day better. That's what I love about music, is it does different things at different times depending on what you need.
David, talking to that, it was, I think, the first time I went to a dinner theater that I really realized just how many good actors there are in the world. And they're not necessarily always up on the screen. And that goes hand in hand with a comment I heard once with somebody said most musicians in the world are waiters. There's a lot of people that are doing wonderful things that have no recognition other than family and friends. But they do it because they love it.
Right.
And I think that's what helps keep us sane.
I do too. And I think that for every musician, that's an epiphany that you reach at some point where you realize, and maybe you say, hey, I'm going to do music for this, take it this far. I'm going to take it as far as I can. I want to be the most famous guy for the kind of music I make. Or maybe you're the guy who's like, I just want to play it at home with my family, and they love it, and that's good enough. And maybe you're the guy who wants to be in doing shows and somewhere in between famous and not famous. Everybody has their different goals. For me personally, I don't know what my goal is. I think right now my goal is just to write music that I love, record it, and try to make it as beautiful and as inspirational to other people as I can, and be inspired, inspire myself and inspire other people. And I think one of the biggest things that I really love is when I make a song or do something musically, and the person who listens to it says, man, you know what, that made me decide that I wanted to pick up a guitar and start doing something that I hadn't done for years. Get my drums and start banging on them, whatever it is that they love to do musically. I love hearing that. I love hearing that somebody decided that they were going to start doing something musically and were inspired because of something that I did, or something that I created, or something that I loved into existence.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah. I've been holding that back for a long time.
Oh, man.
So we hopefully we can help you out here on OPS. Tell our viewers where they can hear your music.
Right now I'm just on SoundCloud, and all my music is downloadable. It's free. You can listen to it or download it or not. It's you can go to SoundCloud, soundcloud.com. My profile is David Daniel Eyes. That's DavidDanielEyez. DavidDanielsWest.com.
It'll be,
David
mouthful.
Daniel West.
it'll be on the screen too, so people can see. There'll be hyperlinks.
So yeah, you know, enjoy. Hopefully people enjoy it, and hopefully people have fun with it. You know, that's I think ultimately when you simplify music down to like what it's there to do, it's ultimately there for people to enjoy and have fun with. You know, you can overcomplicate it and try to put all kinds of profound things on it, but in the end of the day, you know, it's there to make people dance and feel good in some kind of way.
There's that common saying, keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. And I hate to say this. Well, I don't hate to say it. I love to say it, actually. There are many songs that I do where it is overcomplicated. And part of my process of songwriting is actually simplifying stuff. So I will cut out words. If something is too long or too complicated, I'll cut it out because most people don't talk like that. So I try to keep my songs conversational. I try to, if something isn't rolling like I would say it when I'm talking to somebody, then it probably doesn't belong in the song. So keep it simple, stupid is definitely actually a motto that I live by.
And how can the next musician contact you and tell you that you've inspired them?
Definitely
or anyone else?
Yeah, definitely go to the SoundCloud and listen to the music. Leave a comment, download it if you see fit. Share the link, enjoy it. You know, have fun with it. I'll be posting more songs soon. I've got a few songs that I've already written that I'm ready to record. Some songs are in different phases of recording, and just enjoy it. Have a good time with it. And if it inspires you to feel good, wonderful. If it inspires you to make music yourself, wonderful. Say that. Tell me. Leave a comment. Drop me something in my inbox. Whatever you want to do to get a hold of me is totally cool. Right on.
So before we go, is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers? Final words of inspiration, or? Yeah,
thank you guys for listening. Everybody who's checking this out. I really appreciate Rick and Matthew here taking the time to interview me and spotlight me. Check out the music. A lot of what I've got with these songs was directly assisted by Rick and Circle of Sound. So if you ever need to make some music, definitely hit him up. He'll take care of you. He'll take really good care of you. So you know, have fun, enjoy it, make music, dance. Whatever you do to appreciate it, do that, and at the end of the day, feel good about it.
Now, how much do I owe you?
We'll square up on that later.
All right. Okay, so that was a little bit of Q&A with David Norman, and we're going to leave you with a song I enjoy, We Don't Need No Holiday.
Write you a love letter, sing you a song, girl. I promise not to take too long, girl. So fine, as a matter of fact, all the love I've ever given, I take it all back. Whoa, whoa, wrap it up just for you, girl. Stamp it up and send it to you, girl. Man, better get this right. Special delivery, pay for overnight. Knock at the door. Who could it be? Hello, ma'am, can you sign this, please? Open the package and then you'll see a big old box full of little on me. We don't need no holiday to make amazing out of A-OK. Cause every minute together, like sunny weather, can't get no better. We don't need no special occasion. All I need is my inspiration. Mona Lisa, if you please, I'll be your glad to get that off my shoulders. Hopefully the two of yours ain't cold, girl. But with great risk there comes great reward. So I'd like to make a proposition, not to put you in an odd position. Listen please, it's way too easy. I'll take a kiss from your sweet lips, shake a little rhythm off those hips, and look in your eyes a drop or two. Sliver of your smile so beautiful. Catch them in a bottle, then we mix. Make $1 billion off of it. Win or lose, it's me and you. Cause we don't need no holiday to make amazing out of A-OK. Cause every minute together, like sunny weather, can't get no better. We don't need no special occasion. All I need Valentine. Don't need no Halloween. No, baby, we don't need no holiday to make amazing out of A-OK. Cause every minute together, like sunny weather, can't get no better. We don't need no special occasion. All I need is my inspiration. Mona Lisa, if you please, I'll be your easel. If I write you a love letter, sing you a song, girl, I promise not to take too long, girl.
That music means it's time to update your calendars. On January 27th, Traditions Cafe in Olympia will be having a concert featuring Back Porch Swing. Event starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are $23, $15 for low-income students, and can be purchased online at outofthewoods.org. February 5th at the Minert Center in room 253, 2011 Mottman Road, there's the Olympia Suite Adeline's Open House. Hear women's 4-part harmony, get vocal lessons, and learn about performance competitions. Event is at 7 to 9. Call 360-438-1988 for details. On February 15th, at the Grove Street Brewhouse on 1st and Grove Street in Shelton, there's the Turning Point's Brewhouse Bash, a musical performance and silent auction to benefit Turning Point's domestic violence services. Event is 5 to 8 p.m. And that's all the events I have for you today.
We'd like to thank you for joining us today, and the same to all our listeners wherever you may be. This is Rick Nichols
And Matthew Warnick.
with OPS, wishing all of you a great week. We look forward to you joining us next week when our guest will be
Michael George of the rock group The Slowdown.
So until then, goodbye for now.
We'd love to hear from you, so contact us at olympicpeninsulaspotlight@gmail.com.